All right, let's get right into it. Today we're looking at two of the biggest ideas out there for fighting climate change, reforestation and biofuels. Bringing back our forests and making fuel from plants. Sounds great, right? But as we're about to see, there's the promise, and then there's the predicament. But before we can even talk about solutions, we've got to get a real handle on the problem, and it is a huge one. Our forests are vanishing all across the globe at a speed that's, well, it's terrifying. And this is so much more than just losing pretty scenery. This fundamentally messes with the balance of our entire planet. So, what is the big deal with losing trees? Why does it matter so much? Well, it all boils down to this really crucial idea, the carbon sink. And here's the double whammy of deforestation. First, when we chop down a forest, we lose its amazing natural ability to suck CO2 out of the atmosphere. That's bad enough, but then it gets so much worse. If those trees are burned to clear the land, which happens all the time, all the carbon they've been storing for centuries just gets pumped right back into the air. So we're not just getting rid of a solution, we're actively making the problem bigger. This is really the key. Think of a forest like a giant living bank account for carbon. For hundreds, even thousands of years, these trees have been quietly locking away CO2, keeping it safely stored in their wood and their roots. When they're gone, that natural vault is just gone. Okay, so if losing trees is the problem, then the solution seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it? We've just got to bring them back. Let's talk about the incredible potential of reforestation. It sounds so simple, right? Just plant more trees. But the impact is absolutely profound. This isn't just gardening on a massive scale. It's about trying to literally rewind the clock on some of the damage we've done. And you can really see the difference here. Look at this. On one side, you've got the problem, that stark, barren landscape. But on the other, you see the solution in action. You see hope, new life, and a second chance to start pulling that carbon back out of the air. And this isn't just some pie-in-the-sky idea. This is happening right now. Take a look at the Atlantic Forest Restoration Pact in Brazil. The scale is just mind-boggling. They're aiming to restore over 15 million hectares. And it's not just about carbon. It's about bringing back entire ecosystems, boosting biodiversity, and making the whole area more resilient. Okay, so that's bringing trees back, but there's another piece of this puzzle, another big idea that involves plants. What if we could use them to solve our energy crisis? Let's dive into the world of biofuels. The basic idea here is actually pretty cool. Instead of drilling deep into the earth for fossil fuels, what if we could grow our fuel? Things like corn or sugarcane can be processed to create a liquid fuel that can power our cars. Now, the two big ones you'll probably hear about are bioethanol, which you often get from sugary plants like corn, and then there's biodiesel, which can be made from all sorts of oils, from vegetable oil to even leftover animal fat. And get this, the stuff we can make biofuels from, what they call feedstocks, is just amazingly diverse. We're talking dedicated crops, sure, but also waste cooking oil, animal fats, even algae. The idea that we can turn what we'd normally throw away into actual energy, that's a game changer. So, we've got two fantastic solutions. Plant more trees and grow our fuel. Easy peasy, right? Well, no. This is where it all gets really, really complicated. This is where we have to face some incredibly hard choices. And this image, it really says it all, doesn't it? It's a constant, delicate balancing act. On one side of the scale, you have the needs of billions of people for food, for land, for energy. And on the other, you have the absolute necessity of protecting the natural world that sustains us all. And these conflicts pop up everywhere. Do you clear a forest to grow food for a hungry population, or do you preserve it as a carbon sink? Do you create a marine reserve to protect fish stocks, or do you let people fish there to make a living? And the big one for us today, do you use land to grow fuel for cars, or do you leave it as a habitat for wildlife? There are no easy answers here. Let's make this real. Look at what's happened with biofuels in sub-Saharan Africa. The promise, the potential is enormous. We're talking jobs, income, and a cleaner way to power economies. But the predicament is just as stark. What happens when huge biofuel plantations push local people off their land? What does it mean when we start using valuable farmland to grow fuel instead of food? So, it feels like a bit of a trap, right? A catch-22. But it's not hopeless. The conflicts are real, but they are manageable. The goal is to find a path forward that is genuinely sustainable for everyone. So, what's in our toolbox? Well, we can set up protected areas, we can create and, more importantly, enforce strong environmental laws, we can work together on global goals. But honestly, that last point on the slide might be the most important one of all. None of this works, none of it, if local communities aren't part of the conversation from day one. And if you want to see what this looks like when it's done right, you have to look at Kenya's Green Belt movement. This is an incredible, women-led initiative that gets it. They don't just plant trees. They improve soil, they protect water sources, and they build up the entire community's resilience. It's a holistic approach, and it proves that you can care for the planet and for people at the same time. And when you boil it all down, this is what we're talking about. This is the core principle. It's about figuring out how to get what we need to live well today without wrecking the place for our kids and grandkids. So, that's the big question we're left with, isn't it? Reforestation and biofuels have so much potential. They really do. But they force us to confront these tough choices head on. They demand that we think about fairness, about community, and about the long-term health of the only planet we've got. The solutions are out there, but figuring out how to balance those scales, that is the great challenge of our time.